Okay, hey guys, so for today's video, this may be a two-parter, I'm not sure, but either way, if it's super long or not, I will put a kind of video breakdown below so that you can see what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and if you want to fast forward, you can. But basically what I'm doing for today's video is kind of showing you what your schedule might look like, and what I do to plan and organize. Everybody does something different. This would mostly just be to give you ideas. If you have something that works for you, go for it. If you're just not sure, then hopefully this helps you kind of see what it could be. And we'll just kind of go from there, you know? When I started law school, I assumed that I could operate the exact same way I did before, and for the most part I could, but there were things that I just didn't realize would be so time consuming. And they're the typical things that everybody tells you, you know, reading, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of this and that. But this is just kind of show you what it's like on paper. So if you're like me, I like to see everything on paper. I'm a huge paper person. It's just really important to me. But so what I wanted to show you is how you go from a schedule like this, blank, 9 to 6, very simple looking, that then turns into this. So this was my 1L fall semester class schedule, and I apologize if you can't read it. I did this pretty quickly just to give you guys a good look. So these classes ended at 10:10, I believe. This one started at 10:30 and ended, I believe, somewhere around 12:15 maybe. No, that's way too long. No, that's about right. Almost 2 hours. This one started at 11, so we had a 50-minute break and ended at 12:10. This is the same as that one. This one was from about 3 to, I believe it was 4:10, maybe 4:15, something like that. This one started at 1 and ended at 2:10. Okay, so this one was the same all week long, 9 a.m. to 10:10. And so that seems pretty simple. It seems like a pretty easy schedule, kind of a breeze, like that should actually be okay. Plenty of time to study and get things done. That's what I thought. Like, I mean, based on what my past experience had been in undergrad and school in general, this just seemed so manageable. Then what I like to do is kind of go through. So obviously you don't need your weekly schedule every time, but I basically attached it to this. So this is what it would look like, right? I would have my weekly schedule that I just showed you, and then I would always attach or put in planner, whatever it is, and I'll show you guys from there, but your assignments. So this would be for assignments for each day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday for this class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for this class, Tuesday, Thursday for these two classes that I only had twice a week. Again, should be manageable. This is what my schedule turned into. Sorry again about the handwriting, but this is what I wanted to do, right? So I had these classes, and here I had a really big gap, and I thought I'm gonna have tons of time. Well, my thing was I had to go home to let my dog out and take him out and stuff at pretty good intervals because he couldn't be alone this whole time. And so I had to come home in between, if that makes sense. My dog just has a lot of anxiety issues. Not everybody will have that problem, but some people might need to go home for some reason. And this is what that would look like, right? So I lived exactly 5 minutes from my school, from parking lot to my back door, 5 minutes. So the travel wasn't really as long as you would think or other people's would be. But
eating lunch, taking him outside, playing with him, loving on him a little bit so that he feels better, then getting my stuff together, hopefully trying to squeeze some last minute like review for class and all that kind of stuff, and then doing all the prep I'd have to do to say bye to him, leave him, travel back to class.
It was basically 1 o'clock by the time all of that was over. So that was really, really difficult. And the same thing here, I would still go to school about the same time every morning on Tuesday, Thursdays, even though I started later. and I would just come home a little bit later for him than I would Monday, Wednesday. And I would just do that. And it worked out fairly well for him because he could be alone those times. I had a good gap here. But again, the lunch travel, and taking care of my dog really filled in this whole gap. And other people stayed at school. The only thing is, a lot of people stayed at school. So when everybody's staying at school and everybody's hanging out together and stuff, and there's not very many places to go because most law schools are pretty small, everybody's in the same places, you're basically facing the same thing just without the travel. And, how do you get stuff done in that time? Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just can't. And it's really hard to depend on a period of time that you don't know if you can actually count on it every single day. So that's difficult too. And the same things happen here. Here on Fridays, I basically had this Tuesday, Thursday schedule, except I didn't have to go back to school in the afternoon unless I wanted to, because I only had a 50-minute break in between my two classes. So there was no point in going home for that. So I would just stay until the end. So yeah, and then in the afternoon, I'd have a class for an hour and 10 minutes at some point. And then I would go back home. Sometimes I'd stick around in the library, but mostly I knew my dog would need me to come back to him at some point, and I didn't want to go to the library for just a couple of hours, really get into the groove of things, and then have to leave again. So that was just a choice I had to make. Again, it's difficult, and those little choices are what fill up your schedule, and that's kind of the point of this. It's not to say this is what your schedule should look like, this is all the things you should be doing. It's just to say, like, it's so easy to fill up all of those what seem like huge gaps. Just seems like a huge gap everywhere, and it turns into craziness. And then you have to fit in your homework. So for contracts, I had about 30 to 40 pages a night, about somewhere in that range. Torts, I had 20 to 30, sometimes a little bit higher, but usually that was the same range. Civ Pro, because it was only twice a week, much higher at 40 to 70 pages a night, really depending on what subject we were doing, if we had stuff left over, things like that. So that was really difficult to gauge as well, like how long that would take me, because 40 pages takes a lot different amount of time than 70 pages. And I think one night we did have like a crazy amount, like almost 90 or something, and it was just crazy. But you never know. And then with LCAP, we very rarely had readings, because it was our writing and research course. So we very rarely had readings, but we'd have deadlines for the briefs or the memos or whatever we were working on to be like partially done with this or done with that, or version 1 or draft 1 or all of those things. So we'd have those worked in every now and then. And thinking you can write something quickly on top of reading everything else and not getting everything confused, that tends to be the thinking. It's not always right. So it's very difficult to really count on this is how it's going to work every week, because every week is going to be a little different. The other thing is we have to fulfill a certain amount of community service hours or pro bono hours, and the trainings for those tended to be right when I was in my travel or with my dog or whatever. So getting those kinds of things done, working that in, meetings, things like that, working that into the middle of my day was really difficult for me. How do you manage that, So it was just about finding balance as often as I could. And I think that's kind of key, is like, everybody's like, oh, we just find a balance and you'll stick to it. No, it's balance every week. Like, what will balance me out? How will this work? How does this week work? And maybe you can plan ahead by 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on is your syllabus correct? Is everything in there? Do your deadlines vary? Do you know your homework ahead of time? Things like that. Contracts, we knew at the end of each class, because he would send us an email after class for what was due next class. So you couldn't prepare too far in advance for that either. So it's just, you gotta figure it out. Sometimes he would send us the whole week and then tell us if there were any changes after class. That was the thing too. And then you start to kind of forget things, so just like I did. But you know, so you can kind of prepare maybe a week at a time, sometimes more. It just really, really depends. So what I want to do is kind of see or show what preparing for this new semester is gonna look like for me, and the different methods that I use. What I'm gonna do from here is go into my computer. Took this schedule, it's a template on Apple's Numbers program, and I'm gonna go ahead and create my schedule for every week. So I have evidence. I'm gonna go ahead and put 9 to 10:15. Oops. And I have that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then at 11, I have gender law from 11 to 12:15. And I'm gonna go ahead and take that, and I also have that on Wednesdays. So I have human trafficking, 2:30 to 4:20. Once a week. Tuesdays, professional response. Okay, I can't spell. Hi, Brady. Brady has joined us. Okay, so that's what my schedule looks like. And what I'll probably do is put this on the inside of my planner so I don't have to write it in every month or anything like that. And I really won't need it past like the first week once I memorize when each class is. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead and make this. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to make that smaller. I'm going to take this. And then I'm going to create folders in my schedule. So I have what's called a OneDrive through my school. I have a OneDrive through my school. We have Office 365. So I store everything on the cloud because the last thing that I want is to lose any of my work, which happens. So what I'm going to do is create a folder for everything. I already have one for evidence and one for human trafficking because I've already received stuff from those classes. And so I'm going to go ahead and make the remaining folders for the 6th. All right, and so now it matches with when I'm going to encounter it. Evidence first, gender law second on Monday, human trafficking third on Monday, professional responsibility fourth for Tuesday, advanced legal writing is 5th, and then immigration law is the 6th new class I'm going to encounter. So I'm going to do all of that. And then every time I get anything for any of these classes, I'm going to go ahead and just put them in their folders. And anytime I want to find them, I have OneDrive on my phone, I have it on my iPad or anything like that, and it's just all nicely organized. And it's really important that you start that way. The other thing I have done is, so this is all here now, so I'm going to go ahead and save my syllabus to my professional responsibility class because I just got this syllabus. Save that, exit out, and now it's right there and it's already been uploaded, so it's perfectly ready to go. The other thing I've done before, and I definitely recommend this as a 1L. I'm probably going to do it again as a 2L for now, but I just kind of put in, let's see, human, and I just have it ready to go. Let's put that in. I just have it ready to go so that every time I do anything, I can add anything and it's already saving here, and then it'll be saved and ready to go. And it just reminds me like, hey, I have to keep up with this. I have to keep doing this. I have to keep doing this. This is taking a ridiculously long time to save today. I'm just gonna erase that and go ahead and exit. All right. And so that's basically what I do on the computer. I might also set up a notes document. I don't always take a lot of notes on my computer, just because I do better handwriting, that's all. Okay. The next thing I'll do is go through my planner and put in, sorry, I have a lot of stuff going on up here. I'll put in all my assignments. So this is my planner for this semester. I got the Erin Condren Academic Planner. I've had her life planner before, which I'll also show you. This is the life planner, and it's the hourly just because I like to be organized. And I've also had the vertical and the horizontal, I think. And I just didn't really love them. This is from a long time ago. I didn't really love them just because there's nowhere to put my homework or anything. Like, this is very small, quick things to do. Like where I'm gonna be, what time I got off work is basically what I ended up tracking after a while. We had a snow day here. That was fun. Things like that. So it just wasn't my favorite. It wasn't geared towards what I needed. So I got the academic planner. This is kind of cool. It has like all these projects and exams at the beginning. Not very many pages of it, but that's okay because I probably will only keep my finals in this section. Not sure, but probably. And then I did start working on this. So it's not totally new. I bought this separate, or maybe it came with one of my old ones. I don't know, but it's just to keep track of where you are. But, so what I would typically do is kind of highlight things so that I know what's going on. So this is for work. I'm gonna highlight that. That's work. I was sick, work. We were in Houston. So when I have like all day events or whatever, I'm just gonna go from there. Anything that's not school related necessarily, but informs what happens at school, I kind of highlight in different colors just to remind myself. But right now, since I don't have any schoolwork, I'm gonna go ahead and put my work hours in here. And then like this is a doctor's appointment. Now this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So I have orientation. It's also my sister's birthday. And on Sunday I need to meal prep. So these are all things that I definitely need to do in relation to school. Well, the birthday isn't, but my sister would absolutely kill me if I forgot her birthday. So important to remind myself. But then when it goes to school, this is kind of where we start. So I already have some homework assignments for evidence. I have an orientation for a club that I'm in. And then I've gotten more homework assignments. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple more in. I have assignments for professional responsibility, not fit. So this is August 20th. I'm just gonna do text pages 1 through 19, and that's all I need right now. I also have Thursday's assignment, 21 to 36, and rules 1.1, 1.3, and 1.4. And that's it. That's what I have right now. I have the first week, and that's all I need. I believe I have another class. I don't have any assignments for gender law yet, so I'll probably do that in blue. And so I'm gonna do immigration at the bottom just to leave room. Okay. And those are all the assignments I have so far. And so basically what I'm gonna do is as I go through, these are gonna get smaller because I'm going to write less and things like that, and that's fine. And I'd like to keep them kind of different colors. So the one that goes here will be in blue, one that goes here will be in blue. I believe I have one more here that'll be in a different color. And that's it. I only have one here and one here. And so I just want to keep myself as organized as possible, be able to look as quickly as possible. Maybe I will pick 3 different highlighters later if I just keep writing it all in black, and later I'll just pick highlighters instead, things like that. So it's just kind of simple. And I do like this to-do list, like small things. What if I need to go to the bookstore? What if I need a new book? What if I need to exchange a book? What if I need to pick up a new ID? Anything like that. Maybe I lost mine. Very likely. That can all go here, and it'll just be super simple. The other thing is every section comes with like notes section, and then it just goes straight through, and it's quick, simple, and exactly just the stuff that you need. So this is my idea of the kind of planner I like to use. The other thing I do is maybe 2 different options for daily tasks that aren't related to school. So I have this gorgeous thing, which I can do daily. I like that it has like this I'm grateful for thing. Usually for me, it's I'm grateful I didn't walk into a wall when I woke up this morning, things like that. Those are still things to be grateful for, and that's okay. But like I can do appointments. I can do all these different things that maybe aren't school related, but I do need to remember about them. And I like to keep school and other parts of my life separate, so that when I'm at school and I need to worry about school, I can pull out school. And when I'm ready to worry about something else, I can go there. But so I do them separately so that when I'm at school, I can worry about school. And when I'm ready to worry about something other than school, I can go to what I need for that. So I've used this before. I really like it. I think it's really cute. A good place to give yourself, you know, acknowledge your achievements for the day, things like that. The other thing I use is a bullet journal. I just started this one. I'm just starting to use it as well, so we'll see how it goes. Keep you guys in the loop on that. But so I just did something super simple for the front after trying really hard to do something super cute for a lot of tries. But anyway, not important. And then I'm gonna include my work schedule. Right now I have August 5th through 31st. And then different other things that I wanna add and keep track of, but maybe aren't school related, and I don't need them in the same notebook. I don't need to worry about them at the same time. So that's basically how I'm gonna do that. And that's just kind of the idea that I'm using in order to organize, really, is keep myself as organized as possible, but also as separate as possible, so that when I am overwhelmed and stressed, I can zone out from the rest of the world or the rest of everything, really, and just focus on the things I need to focus one at a time. And that's probably my best advice when it comes to starting a new school year, or any stressful time in your life, is focus on one thing at a time, the one thing you can take care of at a time, and go from there. If something has a deadline, take a few minutes to prioritize things like that, but go from what you need to start at, one at a time. So here's the other thing. This is why this is all so important. So I'm gonna show you guys these 3 books. 1, 2, 3. This is evidence. 1 class. My first class. This is 1 class. All right. Then gender law, nicely, only has 1 book. Human trafficking does have 2 books. I just don't have them with me. But then we have professional responsibility, which has these 2 books. Then we have advanced legal writing, which has this big book. And then we have immigration law, which actually has a pretty good sized large book, I think larger than any of these. I just, again, don't have them with me. But so like this is just what, 4 out of 6 classes. And these are all the books I have. Let's put this one before they all fall over. And I am missing 3. 2 of them are like novel length, about 200 pages, but very small. One of them is a really good sized textbook. I'll go ahead and I'll add them to the photo of all of these. But that's a lot to work with. You know, it's a lot of stuff to keep track of. I also have a very strange schedule where, if you recall looking at it, I have some classes that only meet once a week, some classes that meet 3 times a week, 2 times a week, things like that. Tuesdays and Thursdays I only have 1 class a day. Other days I'm going until, what's the last one, 7:20 at night. So I've just got all this space in between again, but I'm also gonna be working this semester, and I have to get all of this done around working and going to classes. And again, taking care of my dog and all of that kind of stuff, and my, you know, coming home, having dinner with my husband, because that's the one thing I really like to do every day, is make sure I have dinner with him and stuff like that. So just kind of organizing my life around all of that. It takes time and it takes organization, and so it's important that you have a good system for that. And that's really what this video is about. I know it was really long. I know it's a lot of info, but you know, it's just to show that it's important to make sure you do what you need to do to keep yourself from totally losing it. And it's possible to lose it anyway, you know? So make sure you give yourself every chance not to, is really what this is about. If you guys have any other questions about all of this stuff, what 1L schedules might look like and all that kind of stuff, let me know. Also, a disclaimer is that for me, for 1L, I only had 4 classes. Some schools, property, contracts, and torts, as well as maybe some other subjects, are split in between 2 semesters. So those at least 3 would all be in 1 semester, plus, you know, maybe crim law and con law, and then the other semester civil procedure and something else I'm missing. And then LCAP is 2 semesters, which is research and writing in other schools and stuff. So I think before, when they did that at my school, I think they were up to like 7 classes a semester. And that's why they moved it to the system we have going now. So everybody's schedules could look different and a lot busier and stuff. Either way, you're probably working about the same amount of time a week, as far as traveling, studying, all those kinds of things. So it's just a lot to keep in mind, and my schedule is not what everyone's will look like, but it's an idea of how quickly your schedules can just go crazy. You know, adding in homework and all the pages of reading and things like that, it can be a lot. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to look out for, and something to recognize that you won't always be in complete control, but hopefully you can do everything you can so that maybe you don't need to be in control to feel okay. But yeah, I mean, I hope this is helpful, and I'm sorry that it was so long, but like I said, let me know if you guys have any comments or suggestions or questions, and I'd be happy to answer them.